Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Dark Roast with Kai Dorsey. I'm your host, Kai Dorsey. Now, today's episode will be basically just me kind of talking about myself. I know I really don't do it too much. I got a suggestion that I should be more in tune with myself due to the fact that, when you are on a public platform and you're talking to people and you're just saying, this, you guys, or we, you kind of start forgetting. You start trying to push a message and push something down. You forget why you're doing it, what you're even there for. Now, a little about me. 23 years old, born in Arcadia, California. Lived most of my life either in, 7 years of my youth in, all over the place. Then finally settling down in Ontario and living in Pasadena every weekend as a kid. Visiting my mom and dad. I was a shithead in the sense of I was mischievous and I was bad and you couldn't tell me anything. No, you could. Honestly, I was good with certain people. We'll put it that way. I was always a fighter. I remember being 2 years old and I got into my first fight. It was with this kid named Jordan. It was over a girl, too. It's really ironic if you think about it. He poured milk on her, and she was my crush, right? Like, this is my first crush. This is the girl that, like, the butterflies in my stomach. That's the first time I've ever felt that, And he threw the milk on her, got on her applesauce and our applesauce and on me. And then this was my best friend, by the way. I'd spent the night at his house and we'd given each other toys for our birthdays. I proceeded to whoop his ass. I remember the daycare lady told my mom it was like Mike Tyson was in the back fighting. I'll say 3 or 4, not 2, 3 or 4. Now, this was kind of a real big mark in who I was. I've always been someone who fought for what they believed in, no matter if it was love or, not letting someone get bullied or even, just not letting someone treat others a way they didn't need to be treated, or people who thought they were too good to treat people fairly and they determined who was better because of their self-worth. Even at a young age, I didn't really like that kind of discrimination. So I grew up being this A+ student until about 7th or 8th grade, but being the bully's bully. As a kid, I was almost an actor too, child actor. I had headshots, everything, auditions, movie roles, TV show roles, but because I was such a bad kid, not in academia, but a bad kid on the playground and outside of the classroom, my principal was like, no, I'm not signing that off. You're out of your mind. I'm not going to reward him for being bad. Which is, it makes sense, but, oh man, that asshole kept me from being rich at that time. Now, going forward with my life, I spent a lot of time being misunderstood by people. No one understood why I stood out the way I did, why I didn't take crap, why I didn't let people walk all over me, whether it wasn't a teacher or anything, whatever I noticed in the world that was not a millennial unfairness, but just a inconsideration or human decency. And in these little moments, in each one, it was like hitting the marble, cracking out who I would be. Making the shape. It was rough, and then smoothing it out, showing me where I stood and what I would stand for. A lot of times it would get me in trouble. I remember one time in 9th grade, I ended up getting suspended for fighting someone. Well, I ended up fighting a dude and his girlfriend. I went to protect him, well, his girlfriend from him, and then she got crazy and she wanted to fight. Don't understand why. She wanted to fight me. At that time, I didn't. I now understand as a victim what goes on. And it didn't make sense to me. When my dad told me something, he said something that it kind of, it made me angry because it broke down what I had always believed, that when you see something wrong, that just because everybody else is sitting there watching, that you should not interfere or intervene. Well, he told me that was a quality that would probably lead to my demise. Not that he is not proud that I am one who would stand up and do for others or myself or the little person, but that in doing so, I'm putting myself in others' problems in a sense where I don't know what's going on. I don't know what is the truth or what isn't the truth. And I see something without really knowing and acting upon it, it would sometimes put me in the wrong, or it could lead to me getting hurt, because just like in that situation, I ended up having to beat up a dude and restrain his girlfriend, which she wasn't too happy to be saved and she didn't want to be. Now, moving on from ninth grade, where I was this huge stoner skateboarder / ROTC kid, I spent a lot of time in ninth grade with my buddies, Fernando, Gabriel, David, George, who's probably like my bestest friend, George Gomez, Adrian, Jacob, Bustos. We spent a lot of time skateboarding, getting stoned, like I said, and this was a moment where I'd actually learned how to be free. I met a bunch of like-minded people. We were super smart, underachieving, overachieving, and only the things we cared about, because life would go our way or the highway. And it made a lot of sense, you know. It made sense that I was in this group. We did about 40 full days of high school, all past ninth grade, though, somehow. 40 full days. And that's going from first to sixth. Other than that, we would go to first period and we'd leave. Maybe we'd go first, second, third, and we'd leave. We don't know why they let it go on so long. But it was an IB magnet school, so they were really more focused on if our grades were okay and not if we, were doing what we needed to do. And test scores. God, they love those test scores. I remember getting into a fight with this huge kid. His name was Jordan. He was a light-skinned black dude, tall, but he was like this big-ass dude, like imagine a light-skinned Shaq with hair, not that tall, though, and he had a Mickey Mouse voice. He talked like this. So, I remember one day I'm super stoned with Adrian, we're in our history class, we had this real hippie teacher, and we're sitting there and we're doing some weird ass exercise where we have to sit on desk. The lights are off. We're sitting on desk, and people are like conversating us about who we are in history, or who we are, and in history it could be anybody in the present day as well. So I decided that I'm gonna be Jordan. Now, little background: I'd been fucking with this guy for so long. Me, when we're friends, I fuck with you and then I joke around and I never know the limits. That's another problem of mine, a flaw I'll say, is I don't know when to stop. I always keep going. The line does not exist for me. Well, I proceed to go, "Hello, folks. This is Mickey Mouse speaking, and I'm here with my friend Jordan. How you doing, guys? Hello, Minnie." And he didn't like that. So Jordan got up and he punched me in the eye. Anybody knows me, when you punch me in the face or you hit me, there's either a split second to where I'm seeing red and we're fighting, or it's like, whoa, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Now, in this altercation, Jordan and I we were friends in my head. I didn't know that this guy was so sick of me doing this. Maybe even though I didn't listen 100 times when he said, "Don't make fun of my voice, it hurts my feelings." I look at Adrian looks at me and he goes, "Fuck him up." So that moment, I became Superman. I lifted him up. I threw him on the ground because I wasn't going to let this kid beat the shit out of me. This is a big kid. We're talking about he was 6'2", 6'3", 230 pounds. And I'm 5'9", maybe 5'10", 145, $150, soaking wet. But I was not letting him get hands on me. I swear. I was like, he's going to kill me if he hits me once. I threw everything at this guy. I threw a desk, 3 chairs. I slammed a file cabinet on him, and I jumped on top of him when the file cabinet was down, and I just began to just wail and wail and wail. We didn't get suspended because it was testing. We had California State testing, and they said, what we want you guys to do is write a letter to each other. Basically tell why you're sorry. We did. Of course, that didn't go so well with my ROTC people because I had this girl named Esmeralda who was a fucking snitch, and her older brother was Sergeant Major of ROTC. But that's kind of like a little taste of how things went. I was always ready to, if I made a mistake, I was always ready to face the consequences, no matter what. But I don't know. I enjoyed that time. I think that was one of the best times of my life. And it's not because it was high school, and it has nothing to do with wanting to be young again. It was just a freedom. A freedom that was past the bullshit, past the forced obligations that I got to work or go to school. I just lived, No inhibitions, no holding myself back, telling myself I couldn't do anything. I think that was when I did the most I could. Anything I wanted, long as I did it, and I succeeded too, because there were no worries, there was no self-doubt. Now, when I moved away from there and moved to the Antelope Valley, I'll definitely say there was a change. A change in the fact that when I'd left Pasadena, I said, well, if I'm leaving this place, I'm going to stop smoking weed. I'm going to stop partying. Because I saw, and the reason why I even left Pasadena was a dissolving of me and my father's relationship due to the fact that I was too willing to be free and not be controlled through my parents and their bickering and their arguing. Not that it was really an issue, it was just that I was always the tug-of-war rope, and I didn't want to be that anymore. Now, when I got to the Antelope Valley, like I said, I decided I wasn't going to smoke, do anything. Anybody who knows the Antelope Valley knows it's a shithole. I call it the devil's butthole for a reason. No matter if you're going in and out, you always come out shitty when you're stuck in the shit. You just got to clean yourself off eventually. Now, my first day, I met all of the worst people I could have met. I became, I guess you'd be honest, as a drug addict, addicted to pills. It wasn't really addiction. Just did a lot of fucked up things. A lot of pills, a lot of weed, alcohol, ecstasy, shrooms, stuff like that. And that was 10th grade. And then I began to meet people who I would now have built up relationships with now that are or like brothers or sisters. But these people had seen me and they'd seen Crazy Jeff. And this is when I began to build not just being the defender or the guardian as I saw myself as a younger child. And then the free, wild spirit in, my junior high, 9th grade years. But I began to become something a little more corrupted, a little more incomplete. Now, I'm going to be stopping right here. We're going to be going on to the part 2. Thank you guys for listening, and keep tuning in to The Dark Rose with Kai Dorsey.